Welcome to New Hampshire's Business. I'm Fred Kocher. I was surprised to find out that the New Hampshire banking industry has been able to retain a higher percent of bank branches across the state than our neighboring states, while at the same time, bank and branch consolidation has been happening nationally. Plus, deposit growth in New Hampshire banks has exceeded that in neighboring states as well. This all comes from a study of New Hampshire banks and the economy published last November by Polycon Research here in New Hampshire. New Hampshire's banking commissioner is in the studio and will respond in a minute, but first, here's a brief picture of banking in New Hampshire. Banks, 43, operate 390 branches and offices across the state. They hold over $47.7 billion in deposits. That's all the banks. And here is a snapshot in time of their lending in New Hampshire by state-based regional national banks in 2024. Residential real estate, $13.1 billion. Commercial real estate, $8.1 billion. Commercial and industrial loans, and you can see the number. Individual loans, you can see the number. And small business loans at $2.4 billion. With me in the studio to brief us on the state of banking in New Hampshire is New Hampshire's Banking Department Commissioner Emelia Galdieri. Welcome. Nice to have you here.
Thank you.
Is there bank consolidation taking place in New Hampshire, or are things kind of static?
I think it depends on what metric you look at. Certainly, we've had at the state chartered level sort of a steady kind of consolidation, mergers and acquisitions. However, in terms of the business in New Hampshire, I think that's remained very steady.
Let's make it clear that you regulate state-based chartered banks and credit unions, not the out-of-state banks or the national banks.
Correct.
That's FDIC and Office of the Controller of the Currency. So just to make that clear. Now, we have an uncertain economy right now. Do you see that affecting lending by the banks?
I think on a local level in New Hampshire, we're very lucky. I routinely talk about how lucky I am as bank commissioner to have such a steady state in New Hampshire, and I think that's good.
Out-of-state banks, so let's go to that graphic. Out-of-state banks in 1994, New Hampshire-based banks controlled slightly more than half of deposits in the state. Today is 2023, their market share has fallen to around 24%, while a handful of large regional and national banks hold about 2/3 of deposits. At the same time, banks based in Massachusetts, Maine, and Vermont now in 2023 control about 10% of New Hampshire deposits. That's from Business New Hampshire magazine. Commissioner, you regulate New Hampshire state chartered banks and the credit unions, but we've had some out-of-state banks, in particular Camden National, True North Bank, and Community Bank, which is in 5 states, come into New Hampshire recently. And you don't regulate the out-of-state banks, but you do get complaints from all banks, probably. What do you do with those since you don't regulate them?
Yeah, so a big part of what we do is facilitate the resolution of consumer complaints, but we only have jurisdiction over the state chartered banks. So when we receive a consumer complaint about a bank not under our jurisdiction, federally regulated, other state regulated, we send the complaint off to that regulator to deal with.
Now let's look at community banks, and again we have a graphic on that. Community banks being unique and extraordinary value to local communities, as you know. They're responsible for a majority of Main Street business loans and 70% of bank agricultural loans. However, the current regulatory environment continues to encumber community bank lending, drive industry consolidation, and inhibit local economic growth. That's from the president of the Independent Bankers Association of America. I had a community bank president in New Hampshire sitting right where you're sitting a few months ago, and she said that this one-size-fit-all regulations for large banks are also imposed on community banks and inhibits their lending and their involvement in the community. What say you about that?
A lot of the regulatory environment is driven by what's going on in Washington. We, of course, in New Hampshire have some control over local laws and rules and regulations, but a lot of it's driven by Washington. And so the more that is being looked at currently, I think the better that's going to become. I know they're focused on looking at the risk-based regulation and trying to customize and tailor the supervision of those banks at the federal level.
Emelia Galdieri, who is the Commissioner of the Banking Department in New Hampshire. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to have you. If you missed part of this briefing on banking in New Hampshire, you can go to WMUR.com. will be posted all this week.